I remember, if I remember this correctly, back when you played here for the first time, back like around the first album, I remember like a bunch of friends at school, we're going to see Tracy Chapman at the Roxy, and that was when all the initial real heat was around you. Can you look back at that time and remember what it was like playing here and what kind of things were going through your head then?
I wish I could say I have a memory that takes me that far back, but yeah, I mean, I kind of generally remember that time, and I was really overwhelmed by it all. Things happened so quickly, and it was pretty amazing for me to find myself traveling around the country and being well received by people all over the place when I'd mostly been playing in Boston. So, yeah, it was. I think I played here in the mid '90s also. I think that was the last time I remember being here.
Put into words all the different ways things have changed for you now, showing up at the club, and is it a whole other world for you now? Or does it feel more or less the same?
It's different, and in part because of experience, because I've been doing it for a while, and I now have a fan base that's bigger than what I had when I was in Cambridge and Boston, and musically things have changed for me as well. I've been exploring different ways of making records and kind of approaching the whole process of touring. So yeah, there are definitely things that have changed, and I think for me, mostly, for the best.
You also have this immense, great body of work that you get to bring to an audience now for 7 or 8 albums worth of great stuff. Talk about this new record and your approach to this one and how it differed, how it's the same from your last ones.
Well, one thing that's different about it is that I had started thinking about the record after I finished the last tour for Let It Rain, and actually the drummer who plays on this record was in the opening act band that I had in the United States, and really loved his playing and thought it would be great to work with him. He wasn't really available, but eventually he was. Short story is I called him and called Joe Gore, who's playing with me tonight, and said, well, why don't we just get together and make music and see how it goes. And it was so much fun. And I just thought, well, I should try to do this more often, and I should try to make a record like this. So I called them, got them together, and then I called Chad Blake, who co-produced the record with me, and he's a really talented engineer and producer, and he's made some of my favorite records. And we basically all got together and made this new record. And we recorded it in a kind of unusual fashion in that Chad came to visit me from England where he lives, and we looked at recording studios, and we also looked at this rehearsal space that I was using, and he said, oh, you should make the record here. And that was a couple months before we were scheduled to start. And that meant that we basically had to try to build a studio in that amount of time, and I enlisted the help of a friend of mine and an assistant, and we were hanging curtains and putting in rugs and hooking up equipment to the last minute, right before we needed to record. But it was a really nice environment for working, and I think it reflected on the record.
Did you know right away that once you started recording this environment is going to work and this is the sound you want and it's coming together, or was there some nervousness?
There was nervousness for sure. I thought, this is maybe just a crazy thing to do, but Chad was up to the challenge. He thought that he could handle some of the difficulties that you face when you don't have complete isolation in a recording environment. But there were so many benefits to our setup, the way that we were able to connect to one another musically. We were all sitting in the same room, playing songs, recording live, and for me, it really made this record special.
Why not do that kind of thing more often? How come it hasn't happened in the past with other albums? Maybe you were in huge studios with all kinds of people coming in and out.
Well, I think early on I was so unfamiliar with the recording process that I don't think I would have thought to do something in this way, and that was kind of standard thing to do, to play in a professional recording studio. And I guess the other thing is that the new music technology has given people a lot more freedom, and you can really set up a recording studio in a bedroom if you want, and that wasn't possible in the past. Everything was really big and really expensive, and so I think I benefited from that.
Mm-hmm. You can talk about all that and all the recording methods and all the instruments, but still a lot of people, what they love about you is your amazing voice, forgetting everything else. How much maintenance does that take? Is that something just, it's always there for you? Is it always as beautiful as it sounds on record and at the shows we see?
Oh, it's very nice. Yeah, I feel lucky in that I think that I started singing as soon as I could talk. So it's something that seems to come naturally, and there are other singers in my family, you know, that seem to have natural ability. And, you know, I try to be careful. I received actually some really great advice when I was first starting out in Boston from Odetta, who told me not to drink orange juice before going out to play. And you know, you do those sorts of things. You try to get a lot of rest, and that will protect the voice. But it's just something that's always been there, and I'm grateful for it.
Mm-hmm. Talking about the songs on this album, a song like Change, like other songs, how much of that is a song to the people that are listening? How much of it is personal? If you can kind of put into words that you were going for with that one.
Well, with the songs, I'm always hoping that people will approach them from their own perspective. And I feel like as a songwriter, once I've written it, there's really nothing I can do in terms of giving people direction about how they should, you know, interpret the song or how the song should have meaning for them. A song like Change, in some ways, is really a way of reminding myself about certain things. You know, that sometimes, for any number of reasons, it's difficult to think about adjusting your life, even though you know that you need to, you know, to kind of shift your priorities, realizing that, you know, every day is a special day, and we have an opportunity to make it the best that we can, and how do you keep that in your mind with everything that you do? And then I guess the great thing about singing a song like that for other people is that sometimes they hear it and they identify with it and feel like it resonates with them and with what they're going through in their own lives.
Mm-hmm. What kind of response do you get from fans at shows now, and have you gotten throughout your career? I'm sure a lot of your songs have touched so many people. Is that a constant thing? Is it constant letters, emails? You're always hearing stuff like that? I
do. I generally get letters at the concerts and fan mail that comes, and people say really funny things to me. When the first record came out, there were a number of people who said, "Oh, you've been reading my mail." And I thought, what do you mean? I'm not reading mail. That's, federal crime or something, And it's a saying. I don't know if it comes from a certain part of the country, but meaning that somehow you understand what I've been going through. You know my story. So I hear that sometimes from people.
Mm-hmm. Talk about these shows you're doing now, and are you playing songs from your whole career? Are there certain songs you always have to do that you know the audience is going to want to hear?
Yes, definitely. I want to play what people want to hear, and then I want to introduce them to the new record. So we're always mixing it up every night and taking requests and trying to make people happy.
Mm-hmm. How proud are you of the new album as a whole in terms of what you were trying to accomplish?
I love it. I really do. I had a great time making it. I love the way it sounds, and I hope people like it.
What kind of music are you listening to now outside of your own?
A number of different things. I don't have time to listen to that much music when I'm traveling or when I'm making records, but I've been listening to Iron and Wine. They're well, I say they, but it's actually, I think, one guy. Mm-hmm. But I think he's got a beautiful voice and great writer. I really like Damien Rice. What else have I been listening to recently? There's a new Ry Cooder record that's really amazing. Mm-hmm. I listen to lots of different types of music.
Mm-hmm. What are your hopes for this record? You've reached such peaks, both commercially and otherwise. When your new album comes out, are you nervous? Are you looking at charts? Are you thinking about stuff like that? What are people telling you? How do you kind of digest all that at this point in your career?
I don't look at the charts and I don't look at reviews. Mm-hmm. My hope is that the record will have a chance to reach the people who are interested in hearing the music. And that's one reason I go out on tour and do interviews and all that sort of thing. But it's really just about having a chance to share the music. I love making music, and I'm thrilled that there are people who love to hear me make music. So that's what I hope.
Very good. All right. Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you.
Pleasure talking.
Nice to talk to you too.